Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something pretty incredible. We're dusting off the blueprint of a world so advanced you'd think it was from the future, but it's not. All right, let's get right into it.
Okay, just let that question sink in for a second. When you think of a city from 4,500 years ago, that's thousands of years before ancient Rome, mind you. What do you picture? Probably mud huts, maybe some winding dirt paths, right? Well, what if I told you the city you're living in right now might actually be less organized than a city from the Bronze Age?
The answer to that question is a huge, resounding yes. We are talking about the Indus Valley Civilization, a civilization that just completely flips the script on what we thought we knew about the ancient world. It turns out some of our best modern ideas are really old.
So to really get a handle on the Indus Valley Civilization, or IVC, you gotta know when they were around. See, they weren't some isolated little experiment. They were a true titan of their time, standing shoulder to shoulder with the giants we all know, ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. Just look at the timeline here, the sheer scale of it. This civilization was thriving for almost 2,000 years. So, to put that in perspective for you, around 2600 BCE, when these cities were hitting their peak, the Great Pyramids of Giza were going up in Egypt. This wasn't some quiet corner of the world. This was a bona fide superpower of the Bronze Age.
All right, now we're going to zoom in, because this is where it gets really mind-bending. We're going inside their cities to look at the engineering that made these places absolute masterpieces.
I mean, seriously, this list reads like a proposal for a modern city, not something from 4,500 years ago. This was all on purpose. It was planned. Think about it. They made standardized bricks, all the same size, so they could build on a massive scale. And the kicker? Underground sewers? Get this, many cities in Europe didn't have sanitation this sophisticated until the 1800s. It's just incredible.
And the layout of their cities tells us so much. Places like Harappa were usually split into two main parts. You had this high, fortified area called the Citadel, or Durg, probably where the rulers lived and where big public buildings were. Then you had the much larger lower town, the Nichla Nagar, where everybody else lived and worked. This wasn't chaos. This was organization on a grand scale. It shows a society that was highly structured.
So we've seen the city's skeleton, right? The grid streets, the sewers. But what about its lifeblood? What were people actually doing here all day? Well, that brings us to their economy, which was a total powerhouse of farming, craftsmanship, and trade that stretched for thousands of miles.
This chart here just gives you a little snapshot of a booming economy. These people weren't just scraping by, they were building a massive civilization on the back of things like wheat and barley. They were one of the first peoples in the world to figure out how to grow and weave cotton. And their artisans, they were masters, working with everything from copper and bronze to gold and making these beautiful, intricate beads. This was the engine that powered their whole world.
And they didn't just keep all this stuff to themselves, oh no. Their goods have been found thousands of kilometers away. Archaeologists have dug up Indus artifacts in modern-day Iraq, which was the heart of ancient Mesopotamia. This wasn't just a few guys on a boat. This was a massive, sophisticated international trade network. It was basically the internet of the Bronze Age, connecting completely different cultures and economies.
So you might be wondering, how did they manage all this trade without any cash? Well, their solution was absolutely ingenious: the seal. These were these small, beautifully carved stone stamps, usually with animals and symbols on them. You'd press it into wet clay on a package, and boom, it was your signature, your company's logo, and your proof of ownership all rolled into one. A totally unique system for keeping the wheels of commerce turning.
But for everything we know about their amazing cities and their vast trade networks, the Indus people left behind a profound silence. So now, we're entering the most mysterious part of our tour, where we have to face the great puzzles of this lost world.
And the biggest mystery of all is this: their writing. They had a complex script, this beautiful system of pictures and symbols. We found thousands of examples of it, mostly on those little seals. But here's the thing, nobody on Earth can read it. It's still one of the world's great unsolved codes.
And that is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? What is locked away inside those symbols? Is it their history, written by them? Their poetry? Their laws? The actual voices of an entire civilization are sitting right there in front of us, and we just haven't found the key.
It's tantalizing. Since we can't read their words, we have to play detective. We have to look at the artifacts they left behind. And we do have clues. We find all these female figurines, which points to the worship of a mother goddess. Animals are everywhere in their art, so they clearly had a deep respect for nature. There's also evidence of fire rituals, and then there's the famous Pashupati seal, with this horned figure that some scholars think could be an early version of the Hindu god Shiva. But these are all just our best guesses.
And that leads us to the final, most dramatic act in this story, the disappearance. Around 1900 BCE, this incredible organized and sprawling civilization just started to fade away. Why? It's one of history's greatest cold cases.
There's no smoking gun here, just a list of suspects. Was it climate change? Maybe the very rivers that gave them life just dried up or changed course. Was it a massive earthquake or a flood? Then you have the older and very debated theory about an invasion. Or maybe they just exhausted their environment. Maybe they were too successful. The real answer is probably a messy combination of all of these, a perfect storm that brought their world to an end.
So, after all this time, after the cities turned to dust and the script was forgotten, does any of it really matter today? The answer is 1,000% yes. Let's talk about the echoes they left behind.
You see, the story of the Indus Valley civilization never truly ended. Their sheer genius for city planning and for managing water created a cultural bedrock for the entire Indian subcontinent. Those ideas didn't just disappear, they echoed through the centuries. And today, engineers trying to solve 21st century problems are still looking back at them for inspiration.
And I want to leave you with this one final thought. The Indus Valley civilization was one of the great cradles of human civilization, right up there with Egypt and Mesopotamia. And yet it was so completely lost to history that we didn't even know it existed until about 100 years ago. It just makes you wonder, if a world this sophisticated could be forgotten, what other stories, what other incredible blueprints for the future are still buried right under our feet, just waiting for us to find them?